My name is Margaret Peterson, but everyone calls me Maggie. I'm 53 years old, and right now I'm sitting here in the small free clinic my husband and I run on the east side of Columbus, Ohio. Every morning when we open the doors, there's a line of elderly folks from the neighborhood waiting to see us. I handle the intake and scheduling while my husband Rick does the examinations. Around lunchtime, I make a big pot of soup or chili, and we all sit together, patients and staff sharing a meal. These are peaceful, grateful days. But I need to tell you something. Just 3 years ago, my life was in a completely different place. Actually, it was shattered into a million pieces. It happened at my daughter's wedding reception, in front of over 200 guests. When that screen lit up with a 30-year-old newspaper article, and everyone in that room saw it at the same time, even now, just thinking about it makes my stomach drop. That day was supposed to be the happiest day of my life. My daughter Sarah was getting married. She was 29 years old, working as an elementary school teacher, and she'd found a wonderful man to build a life with. Do you know how incredible that felt? Especially since I'd raised her all by myself. Just the two of us against the world. Let me back up. I got married the first time when I was 23. I was so naive back then, you know? I really believed that love could conquer anything. My husband worked construction, seemed like a solid, responsible guy. But after we got married, I found out just how much he loved to drink. At first, it was just once or twice a week. He'd go out with his buddies from the crew, come home a little buzzed, I'd put him to bed. I told myself it was fine, that's just what working men do. But it got worse. Pretty soon he was coming home drunk every single night. And when he drank, he became a different person. Normally, he barely said 2 words. But drunk, he'd scream at the top of his lungs, throw things, smash dishes. We'd been married about a year when I got pregnant. I was so happy. I thought, okay, now he'll straighten up. Once he becomes a father, things will change. But they didn't. I was 6 months pregnant when it happened. He came home at 3 a.m, pounding on the door, yelling for me to let him in. I rushed to open it, my belly huge, moving as fast as I could. He stumbled in and demanded food. "Where's dinner?" he slurred. "Honey, it's 3 a.m. I'll make you breakfast when we wake up." He exploded, stormed into the kitchen and started throwing pots and pans. I tried to stop him, and that's when his hand shoved my belly, my pregnant belly. I fell backward, and my lower back hit the corner of the coffee table. The pain was so sharp I screamed. He just walked to the bedroom and passed out. I called 911 myself, rode to the emergency room alone. Thank God the baby was okay. The ER doctor looked at me with such concern. "Ma'am, if you'd hit any harder, you could have gone into premature labor. You're very lucky." He paused. "This was domestic violence, wasn't it? You need to file a police report." I shook my head. "No, I just fell. It was an accident." I don't even know why I lied. I was embarrassed, I guess. We'd only been married a year. What would people think if I was already getting divorced? And I had this baby coming. I thought a child needed a father. The next day he got on his knees and cried, "I'm so sorry, baby." I was out of my mind. "I swear I'll never drink again. Please forgive me?" And I believed him. I thought, okay, this time he really means it. I had our daughter, our beautiful Sarah. When they laid her in my arms for the first time, I cried. I promised myself I'd do everything in my power to give her a happy life. But my husband didn't change. He got worse. By the time Sarah turned 1, the violence was happening 3 or 4 times a week. He graduated from throwing things to hitting me, slapping my face, pulling my hair, kicking me. I'd grab Sarah and lock ourselves in the bedroom while he raged outside the door. When Sarah turned 3, something shifted. That night he came home drunk again, smashing things and yelling. But this time, Sarah clung to my skirt and cried, "Mommy, I'm scared." That's when I woke up. My little girl was going to grow up traumatized, watching her father beat her mother. How could she ever be normal after that? That night, I took Sarah and went to my mother's house. Mom opened the door and started crying. "I told you not to marry him. I warned you." "I know, Mom." "I'm sorry. I'm getting a divorce." "Good. You're still young. You can start over." I filed for divorce. At first he refused, but I showed him the photos I'd secretly taken over the years, my bruised face, my broken fingers, the smashed furniture. I told him, "I'm taking all of this to the police. I'll press charges for assault. Or you can sign the divorce papers quietly. Your choice." He signed. I got full custody of Sarah. I was 26 years old and suddenly a single mother. Living with my mom, just me and Sarah, I needed to work. What kind of job can a 26-year-old woman with only a high school diploma get? I tried everything: convenience store clerk, restaurant server, factory night shift. Then I saw a posting at a local medical office looking for a medical assistant. I need certification, so I enrolled in classes, studied like crazy, and got my certificate. I got hired at an orthopedic clinic in our neighborhood. It was hard work. Checking in patients, filing charts, cleaning exam rooms, managing supplies. The pay wasn't much, but it was steady with benefits. Most importantly, I could leave at 5 o'clock to pick Sarah up from daycare. Do you know how exhausting it is to work and raise a child alone? Wake up, feed Sarah breakfast, drop her at daycare, work all day at the clinic, pick her up, make dinner, give her a bath, put her to bed. By the time I finished the dishes and laundry, it was 1 in the morning. Sleep for 3 hours, then do it all again. Weekends were for Sarah. I had no time for myself. If she got sick, I worried about the medical bills. If I got sick, I felt guilty for not being there for her. When Sarah was in first grade, she came home one night at 11 p.m. and pulled out her homework folder. "Mom, I need colored paper, glue, and scissors for tomorrow." I'd completely forgotten. It was 11:10. Every store was closed. "Baby, I'm so sorry." "Mommy forgot. We'll get them first thing in the morning." "But then I'll be late." Her eyes filled with tears. My heart broke. All the other moms had probably remembered and had everything ready. My daughter was the only one whose mother failed her. "I'll make you some tonight. We don't have colored paper, but I'll cut up some magazine pages and make it pretty." I stayed up all night cutting advertisements into neat squares to look like construction paper, used glue and scissors we had at home. It wasn't perfect, but I made those supplies. The next day, Sarah came home and said, "Mom, my teacher said your colored paper was the prettiest in the whole class." I knew she was probably lying to make me feel better, but I cried anyway. When Sarah was in 3rd grade, there was a school performance. I told her I couldn't come because of work, but the day arrived and my heart ached, thinking about all the other mothers being there except me. I begged my boss, "Please, just today let me leave early. It's my daughter's school program." "Margaret, you know we're busy today. Who's going to cover? Please, this is something she'll remember forever. I can't miss it." He sighed. "Fine, go. But you're coming in extra early tomorrow." "Thank you so much." I ran to the school, slipped in through the back door of the auditorium just as Sarah's class came on stage. She scanned the audience, and when her eyes found me, her whole face lit up. She danced with so much more energy after that. When it ended, she ran into my arms. "Mom, you came." "Of course I came, sweetie. You were wonderful." I didn't think you could make it. They docked my pay for that half day, but I'd do it again in a heartbeat for the joy on her face. When Sarah was in 5th grade, I collapsed at work, just fell over from dizziness. My coworkers rushed me to the ER. The doctor said I was severely anemic and malnourished from overwork and not eating properly. "Ma'am, you're going to seriously hurt yourself if you keep this up. You need rest and proper nutrition." "Doctor, I can't rest. If I don't work, I can't pay the bills. If I can't pay the bills, I can't take care of my daughter." "But if you collapse, who's going to take care of her then?" He had a point, but I didn't have a choice. They kept me overnight. The bill was $300. My monthly salary was $1,500. That $300 was enormous. When I got home, Sarah had made dinner. Ramen, but still. "Mom, I made you food. Eat it." "Sarah, you did this?" "Yeah, you're sick. I'm big now. I'll take care of you." She was 11 years old. I felt so proud and so guilty at the same time. After that, Sarah helped a lot more. She'd wake herself up, make her own breakfast, walk to school, go to the library after, make herself ramen for dinner. On weekends, she'd come with me to the grocery store, help me clean the apartment. She shouldn't have had to do all that at 11, but she did. When Sarah started middle school, there were new expenses: uniforms, gym clothes, textbooks, supplies. I calculated that I needed $800 all at once. I had to borrow $500 from my mother. "Mom, I'm so sorry. Can I borrow some money?" "What for?" "Sarah's starting middle school. I need to buy her uniform and books." "Okay, I'll give it to you. But when are you going to pay me back?" "I'll pay you back little by little, I promise." Mom sighed as she handed me the cash. "I told you not to get divorced. Now you're suffering because of your choices." She was right, but I didn't regret it. Living alone with Sarah was 100 times better than living with my ex. In 8th grade, Sarah's teacher called me. "Mrs. Peterson, Sarah's been skipping lunch a lot lately. Is everything okay at home?" "What? No, everything's fine." "Why?" "Her friends say she goes to the library during lunch instead of eating." When I got home, I asked her about it. "Sarah, are you not eating lunch at school?" "No, I eat. Your teacher says you skip lunch." She was quiet for a moment. Then, very softly, "Mom, the cafeteria costs $70 a month. I know that's a lot. I eat a big breakfast, so I'm okay skipping lunch." My heart shattered. She was skipping meals to save me $70 a month. "Sarah, did I not give you lunch money?" "No, Mom." I'm trying to lose weight anyway. That was a lie. My daughter was thin. She had no reason to diet. Sarah, starting tomorrow, you eat lunch every single day. I'll make sure the cafeteria account is paid. Promise me? Mom, I'm really okay. No, you're a growing kid. You can't skip meals. Promise me you'll eat. She nodded, crying. I cried with her. That night, I decided I couldn't keep living like this. I needed more income. So I got a second job at a convenience store, working evenings from 8 p.m. to 1 a.m. after my clinic shift. It brought in an extra $600 a month. I was exhausted, sleeping 3 hours a night, working 2 jobs, coming home to get Sarah ready for school, then doing it all again. After 3 months, my body started giving out. I felt dizzy constantly, nauseous. 3 months turned into 6 months. Then, one night at the convenience store, I just collapsed, overwork. They hospitalized me for a week. The doctor was furious. You're working yourself to death. 2 jobs. 3 hours of sleep? Your body isn't a machine. I have to work, then cut back to 1 job, or you're going to end up seriously injured. I quit the convenience store job, but with the 6 months of extra income, I'd saved enough to prepay Sarah's cafeteria for a year, and I started giving her a little allowance too. When Sarah got into high school, there was another challenge. She was accepted into a specialized charter school, but it was more expensive than the regular public school, and farther away, meaning transportation costs. But I told her to go. A better school meant a better college, which meant a better future. Mom, I can just go to the regular high school. It's fine. No, you're going to the charter school. That's what you want, right? But it costs more. I'll handle the money. You just focus on studying. For those 3 years, I worked myself to the bone. Took every overtime shift I could, worked holidays, picked up extra hours whenever possible, and Sarah thrived. She studied hard, never complained, never caused trouble, and she got into Ohio State's teaching program. Full scholarship, top of her class. The day of her college orientation, I went with her. Walking around that beautiful campus, I thought, this is it. This is what 20 years of hard work was for. My daughter made it. She's going to have opportunities I never had. She graduated, got her teaching certificate, and landed a job at an elementary school. I was still working at the clinic, still living modestly, but I was proud, so incredibly proud. One day Sarah came home and said, Mom, you deserve to be happy too. What are you talking about? I am happy. I have you. No, Mom, I'm grown now. You should think about yourself. You should consider dating again. Dating? Sarah, I'm almost 50. I'm fine alone. But what happens when I get married and move out? You'll be all by yourself. I don't want that for you. Actually, I set up a date for you. You what? The principal at my school knows someone. He's a doctor, runs his own practice. Late 50s, his wife passed away 10 years ago from cancer. No kids. The principal says he's really nice. I resisted at first. Dating at 50 felt ridiculous. But Sarah insisted. Mom, just meet him once, please, for me. So I agreed. We met at a coffee shop downtown. His name was Dr. Sack. Richard Peterson Rick. Tall, well-dressed, soft-spoken. We talked for 2 hours. He was kind, thoughtful, easy to talk to. I lost my wife 10 years ago, he told me. I've been running my practice alone since then. But lately I've been feeling lonely, you know? I heard about you from the principal. She said you raised your daughter alone, put her through college, helped her become a teacher. That's remarkable. It's not remarkable. I just did what any mother would do. I've lived alone for 10 years. I know how hard it is, how lonely it gets. Something about the way he said that made me feel seen. I'd been lonely too. I just never let Sarah know. We met again the next week. And the week after that, we started dating dinners, walks by the river, movies. For the first time in decades, someone was taking care of me instead of me taking care of everyone else. 6 months in, I got sick and fainted at work. Rick rushed to the hospital. He held my hand and said, Maggie, you don't have to struggle alone anymore. Let me be here for you. He paid my hospital bill without asking. He brought home-cooked meals to my apartment every night while I recovered. Chicken soup, roast beef, casseroles. All made from scratch. Sarah said, Mom, he's a keeper. He really cares about you. After a year of dating, he proposed. Margaret Peterson, well, you'd be Margaret Peterson if you say yes. Will you marry me? I want to spend the rest of my life with you. I hesitated. My first marriage had been a nightmare. What if this went wrong too? But Sarah encouraged me. Mom, Rick isn't like Dad. I've watched him for a year. He's good to you. He respects you. And Mom, you deserve to be happy. So at age 50, I got remarried. Small ceremony, just close friends and family at a restaurant. No honeymoon, we were both too busy and too practical for that. We just quietly started our new life together. Rick was wonderful. He never once criticized my past or made me feel bad about being divorced. He treated Sarah like his own daughter. Sarah, I'm sorry I came into your life so late, but from now on, I'll be here for you and your mom. Sarah adored him too. Rick, thank you for taking care of my mom. Life was peaceful. Good even. After all those years of struggle, I finally felt like I could breathe. 1 year passed, then 2. I remember thinking, I made it. My daughter's successful, I have a loving husband, everything's okay now. Then Sarah met someone, a phys ed teacher at her school. Nice guy, good family. They dated for a year and decided to get married. She was 29, the perfect age. I was overjoyed. My daughter was starting her own family. Everything I'd worked for was coming together. We started planning the wedding, looked at venues, fancy hotels downtown, smaller banquet halls, everything in between. Sarah wanted to keep it simple, but I insisted. Sarah, this is your wedding. We're doing this right. I've been preparing for this your whole life. We settled on a nice venue in the northern suburbs. Capacity for 200 guests. Then we went dress shopping. When Sarah tried on her gown, I cried. Sarah, you're so beautiful, like a princess. Mom, am I really? Absolutely. The most beautiful bride in the world. The dress was $3,000. Expensive, but worth every penny for my daughter. We found an apartment for them. 20-minute drive from her school, 2 bedrooms, sunny, good neighborhood. The down payment for the lease was $30,000. We agreed to split it with the groom's family, $15,000 each. I emptied my entire savings account. Rick helped too. Everything was coming together. 1 month before the wedding, though, Rick started acting strange. He got a text message one evening, and his face went completely white. Honey, what's wrong? Nothing. Just spam. But he looked terrified. Something was very wrong. Over the next few weeks, he barely slept. Lost weight, looked haunted. I kept asking what was wrong, but he wouldn't say. I made a mistake a long time ago. I'm afraid it's going to come out. I'm scared you'll leave me when you find out. Rick, whatever it is, we'll deal with it together. We're married. Thank you, Maggie. But he didn't tell me. He just got worse nightmares every night, barely eating. The night before the wedding, we had a small dinner with both families. Sarah, her fiancé, his parents, Rick, and me. The atmosphere was warm and happy. Everyone was excited for tomorrow. Then the groom's mother asked Rick casually, So, Dr. Peterson, where did you go to medical school? Rick froze. Actually froze mid-bite. I jumped in. Honey? She asked about med school. Ohio State. Wonderful. My brother went there too. That night, after everyone left, I asked Rick what that weird moment was about. Maggie, tomorrow you're gonna find out. I'm so sorry. Please know that I love you. I went to bed uneasy. The next day, May 20th, 2020, a Saturday, was the wedding. I woke up at dawn to get ready, put on my mother of the bride dress, did my hair and makeup. Looking in the mirror, I cried. My baby girl was getting married today. My job was done. We arrived at the venue. Guests were already streaming in family, friends, Sarah's fellow teachers, the groom's side, over 200 people total. Sarah looked absolutely radiant in her dress. We hugged and cried together. Mom, thank you for everything. I'll never forget what you did for me. The ceremony began. The officiant spoke. We did the family introductions. Everything was going perfectly. Next up was the congratulatory video, montage of childhood photos with messages from friends. The screen lit up. Sarah's baby pictures appeared set to music. Guests smiled and laughed. It was sweet. Then suddenly, the music stopped. The screen went black. Then a newspaper article appeared. An old newspaper article from November 1993. My stomach dropped. This wasn't part of our video. Something was very wrong. People started murmuring. The article filled the screen with more detail. During a C-section at a Columbus hospital, a patient died from excessive bleeding. The attending intern, Dr. Richard Peterson, was found responsible for the death. Rick shot up from his seat next to me, his face ghostly pale. I looked at him in horror. Rick! No. Another image flashed on screen. A court judgment. The defendant, Richard Peterson, is found guilty of medical malpractice resulting in death. Sentenced to 1 year in prison, suspended for 2 years. The room erupted. What is this? Is this real? The bride's father killed someone? This is the doctor who runs the clinic on Morrison Avenue. The groom's mother stood up and shouted, What is the meaning of this? We knew nothing about this. This is fraud. The venue descended into chaos. People standing, pointing, shouting. Sarah burst out of the bridal suite in her wedding dress. Mom, what's happening? Sarah, I don't know. The groom's mother charged at Sarah. Did you know about this? That your father killed someone and went to prison? I had no idea. I swear, this is the first I'm hearing of this. You're lying. This whole thing was a setup. The wedding is off. The groom tried to calm his mother. Mom, please, let's just figure out what's going on. Then the final message appeared on screen. Dr. Richard Peterson, do you remember the truth from 30 years ago? Today, on your happy day, I'm giving you a gift. Just like you took my mother's life that day. Everything clicked. This was revenge. Someone whose mother died in that medical incident 30 years ago had orchestrated this. They'd hijacked our wedding video to publicly destroy us. We were escorted out. Actually, kicked out. The groom's family canceled everything on the spot. The wedding, the apartment lease, everything. Sarah collapsed crying in my arms. Mom, what is happening? Did Rick really kill someone? I looked at Rick. He just stood there with his head down. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Rick, you need to explain. Now. Let's go home. I'll tell you everything. Back at our house, we sat in the living room. Sarah, Rick, and me. Rick finally told us the truth. 30 years ago, I was a first-year intern at Ohio State Medical Center. My supervising physician was Dr. William Hartman, a renowned surgeon. One night, an emergency C-section came in. A woman at 38 weeks with placental abruption. Dr. G.A.S. Hartman was the lead surgeon, I was just assisting. The surgery went fine at first. The baby was delivered safely. But then, the mother started hemorrhaging. Badly. I told Dr. Hartman we needed to prep more blood for transfusion immediately. He ignored me. Kept trying to stop the bleeding manually. It didn't work. The patient went into shock and died. I felt sick. A woman died on the operating table. The next day, Dr. Hartman called me into his office. Just the two of us. He said, "Let's make this your responsibility." I said no. But then, he brought up my brother. My younger brother had leukemia and needed expensive treatment. Dr. Hartman said if I took the blame, he'd pay for all of my brother's medical bills. He'd also give me seed money to open my own practice later. But if I refused, he'd make sure both me and my brother were destroyed. Sarah's voice was ice cold. So you agreed? You let an innocent woman's death be blamed on you? I was 28 years old. My brother was 20 and dying. I made a choice, a terrible choice. What happened to the woman's family? I asked. She had a husband, 32 at the time, and the baby survived. A healthy boy. I saw the husband during the trial. He was devastated. His wife was dead and he had to raise the baby alone. And you just let him think it was your fault? I lived with the guilt every single day. I had nightmares for 30 years. I saw her face every night asking me why I killed her. So I tried to make amends. I sent money, anonymously, every month, to the family. Scholarship funds for the boy's education. I paid for everything, elementary, middle school, high school, college, law school. Everything. How much? Sarah asked. About $500,000 total. Over 30 years. The room fell silent. The boy from that case, do you know who he is now? Sarah grabbed her phone and started searching. November 1993, Columbus, medical malpractice, C-section death, baby boy survived. Her face went pale. She showed us her phone screen. The article explained, Daniel Morrison, age 30, district attorney, was born the day his mother died. His father raised him alone. He attended law school and became a prosecutor, driven by a sense of justice from his tragic beginnings. That's him. Sarah whispered, that's the man who destroyed my wedding, the prosecutor who's been investigating medical malpractice cases. I felt dizzy. The baby grew up to be a prosecutor, and 30 years later, he got his revenge. I knew this would happen eventually, Rick said. A month ago, I got a text. Enjoy your daughter's wedding. I have a gift for you. I knew something was coming. I just couldn't stop it. You should have told us, Sarah screamed. I just got humiliated in front of 200 people. My wedding is destroyed. My fiancé's family thinks we're liars. My career is over. Everyone at school was there. She ran to her room sobbing. I looked at Rick. Is that the whole truth? You're not hiding anything else? That's everything. The real surgeon was Dr. X. Hartman. I was forced to take the blame, but I should have told the truth back then. That's my sin. I stayed silent. The next day, the groom's family officially called off the wedding. They demanded we return their share of the apartment deposit. They wanted nothing to do with us. Sarah was devastated. Mom, my life is ruined. The whole school knows. How can I face anyone? Sarah, we're going to fix this. We're going to find out exactly what happened 30 years ago and prove your stepfather was coerced. How? We start with the court records. Over the next week, Sarah and I became investigators. We went to the county courthouse and pulled the 1993 case file. We collected every newspaper article from that time. We dug through everything, and we found inconsistencies, big ones. First, the surgical observation log listed Dr. Hartman as the lead surgeon, but the incident report had been changed to list Rick as the lead surgeon. Second, all the nurses who were in that operating room gave suspiciously vague statements, "I don't remember," or "I'm not certain." Third, Dr. Hartman only received a supervisory violation and a $500 fine. Rick got a year in prison, suspended, and lost his medical license for 2 years. "Mom, this is a cover-up." Dr. Hartman forced Rick to take the fall. "We need to find those nurses, get them to tell the truth." We requested the staff list from the hospital. 5 nurses had been in that OR. 1 had moved overseas. 1 was deceased. 1 refused to meet with us. That left 2. The 4th nurse wouldn't talk, but the 5th, one Susan Miller, agreed to see us. She'd retired and lived out near the Indiana border. We drove out to her small farmhouse. Knocked on her door? She answered, looking wary. "Miss Miller, we need to talk about the surgery on November 17th, 1993, the C-section where the patient died." Her face hardened. "I don't remember. Please. My husband was Richard Peterson, the intern who took the blame, but we think he was covering for Dr. Hartman. We need the truth." Her eyes filled with tears. "You're right, Dr. Hartman was the lead surgeon. He made the mistakes. But after the patient died, he called all of us nurses into a meeting, threatened to fire us if we told the truth. We were all contract workers back then. If we lost those jobs, we had nothing." "So you lied?" "Yes. I've lived with that guilt every day since. I'm so sorry. That poor woman who died. That young doctor who took the blame. I'm so ashamed." "Will you testify? Tell the truth now?" She nodded. "Yes. I can't carry this anymore. I'll testify." We recorded her statement, got it in writing, notarized. The next day, Sarah found more information. "Mom, do you know who Dr. D'Anastasia? William Hartman is now?" "Who?" "Chairman of Columbus Regional Medical Center, one of the richest doctors in the state. Worth over $50 million. He's been living the high life for 30 years while Rick suffered." I was furious. The real villain had prospered while an innocent man carried the guilt. We're going to confront him. We went to the massive hospital complex where Dr. P.O. Laskis, Hartman was now chairman, marched right into the administrative wing and demanded to see him. His secretary tried to stop us. "You can't just walk in. We're here about a medical malpractice case from 1993. He'll want to talk to us. Trust me." She buzzed him. A moment later, "He'll see you." We walked into his huge corner office. Dr. Hartman sat behind an enormous desk, mid-70s, silver hair, expensive suit. "What can I do for you?" "You remember November 17th, 1993? His expression didn't change. "Should I?" "The C-section where the patient died. The case you blamed on Richard Peterson." Now his face tightened. "That case was settled 30 years ago." Sarah pulled out her phone and played Susan Miller's recorded testimony. His face went from tan to gray. "Where did you get that?" "From Nurse Miller. She's willing to testify in court. We have a written statement. You can't hide anymore." He stood up, shaking. "Get out. Get out of my office or I'll call security." We left. But we weren't done. At home that evening, Sarah said, "Mom, we need to talk to Daniel Morrison, the prosecutor. He deserves to know the truth that Rick wasn't actually responsible for his mother's death." "Will he even meet with us?" "He's the one who destroyed your wedding. He's a prosecutor. He cares about justice. If we show him the evidence, he'll listen." We called the DA's office and requested a meeting. Surprisingly, he agreed. We walked into his office 2 days later. Daniel Morrison was about 30, lean, intense eyes. "Sit down. I know why you're here. Mr. Morrison, we have evidence that Richard Peterson was not actually responsible for your mother's death. The real surgeon was Dr. A.K., William Hartman. Rick was an intern who was coerced into taking the blame." We laid out everything. The altered surgical logs, Susan Miller's testimony, the inconsistencies in the court record, Hartman's threats. Morrison studied the documents for a long time. When he looked up, his eyes were red. "Are you telling me I've spent 30 years hating the wrong person?" "Yes. Dr. Hartman killed your mother through negligence. Then he forced a young intern to take the fall. Rick's been suffering with guilt for 3 decades, even though he wasn't the one who made the fatal error." Morrison put his head in his hands. "My God, I destroyed your wedding. I humiliated you in front of hundreds of people. And Rick was innocent?" "Not completely innocent," I said quietly. "He did stay silent. He took money to cover it up. That was wrong, but he's been trying to atone. He's the one who sent you money all those years, the scholarship funds, the living expenses. All of it was Rick, trying to make amends." That was him? Morrison looked stunned. That's the only reason I was able to go to college, law school, become a prosecutor. Without that money, I would have dropped out in middle school. He wanted to help you, even though he wasn't the one who killed your mother. Morrison stood up. I'm opening an investigation. Dr. Hartman is going to answer for what he did. Over the next 2 months, Morrison investigated. He interviewed everyone involved, subpoenaed hospital records, found more witnesses. He even found another doctor, a former student of Hartman's, who testified that Hartman had once drunkenly confessed to pinning a mistake on an intern, back in '93. Dr. Hartman was arrested and charged with medical malpractice, resulting in death, evidence tampering, and witness intimidation. The trial was huge, media everywhere. Hartman, this pillar of the medical community, being exposed as a fraud. The first day of trial, the judge asked him directly, "Did you perform the surgery on November 17, 1993? Yes. Did you make errors that resulted in the patient's death? A long pause. Yes. Did you force Richard Peterson to take responsibility for your mistakes? Another pause. Yes. The courtroom erupted. Morrison, acting as prosecutor, laid out the entire case. Susan Miller testified in tears about being threatened into silence. The other witnesses corroborated the cover-up. Rick testified about being coerced with his brother's medical bills. I was 21. My brother was dying. Dr. Hartman offered to save him if I took the blame. I made a terrible choice. I've regretted it every day since. And what did you do to try to make amends? Morrison asked gently. I sent money to the victim's family, every month for 30 years, about $500,000 total. I paid for Daniel Morrison's education, his living expenses, everything. It was the only way I could think to atone. Morrison's voice cracked. Dr. Peterson, because of your support, I was able to become a prosecutor. I was able to have a career, a life. I owe you everything. Rick shook his head. You don't owe me anything. I owed you. I owed your mother. At the end of the trial, the judge sentenced Dr. Hartman to 3 years in prison, permanent revocation of his medical license, and forfeiture of $80 million in assets gained through his career. You used your position to cover up a preventable death. You destroyed a young doctor's reputation. You threatened witnesses. Justice delayed is not justice denied. This court will not let your crimes stand. Hartman was led away in handcuffs. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed us. Morrison gave a statement. After 30 years, the truth has come out. My mother can rest in peace. And Dr. Peterson, Rick, I'm grateful for everything you did for me. Thank you. Rick stepped up to the microphones. I should have told the truth 30 years ago. I was a coward. But I'm grateful justice has finally been served. My wife and I are opening a free clinic to serve low-income patients. I want to spend the rest of my life making up for my mistakes. A week later, Morrison came to our house for dinner. He and Rick sat across from each other. Dr. Peterson, I'm sorry I destroyed Sarah's wedding. I was so focused on revenge I didn't care about collateral damage. You were hurting. You lost your mother. I understand. But I should have investigated first. Instead, I lashed out. I'm sorry. Rick reached across the table and shook his hand. You helped uncover the truth. You brought real justice. Thank you. They sat there holding that handshake for a long moment. 3 months later, Sarah's fiancé's family reached out. They'd seen the trial coverage. They apologized profusely. His mother showed up at our door with flowers. I'm so sorry, we jumped to conclusions. We didn't know the full story. Can Sarah forgive us? Can we try again? Sarah looked at me. I nodded. Yes, we can start over. 6 months later, Sarah got married. For real this time. Small ceremony, just family and close friends at a church nearby. Quiet and beautiful. Rick walked Sarah down the aisle. As he handed her to her groom, he said, Take care of my daughter. I will, sir. I promise. Morrison came to the reception, hugged Sarah. Congratulations. Be happy. Thank you, Daniel. You too. That was 3 years ago. Now Rick and I run our free clinic. Every morning we open the doors and welcome our neighbors, elderly folks, families without insurance, anyone who needs care. We don't charge anything. Rick does the medical work. I handle intake and coordination. At lunch we all sit together and share a meal I've cooked. Sarah's doing wonderfully. She got promoted to principal youngest in the state at age 33. She and her husband are happy. They're expecting their first baby next month. Morrison became a judge last year. He's using his position to reform medical malpractice laws to help other victims get justice. Dr. Hartman served his time and is out now, disgraced and broke. I don't wish him harm, but I'm glad he faced consequences. This morning at the clinic, Morrison stopped by. Maggie, Rick, I wanted to tell you I'm getting married next year. That's wonderful. Congratulations. And I wanted to ask, Rick, would you walk with me? As a father figure, you're the closest thing I have. Rick's eyes filled with tears. I'd be honored. After Morrison left, Rick took my hand. Maggie, thank you for believing in me, for standing by me. Without you, I'd still be living in guilt and shame. That's what marriage is, honey. We face things together. I love you. I love you too. The clinic doors opened. Our first patients of the day arrived, an elderly couple from down the street. I greeted them with a smile. Good morning. Come on in. Coffee's fresh. This is my life now. At 53, I finally have peace. Looking back, there was so much pain. My abusive first marriage, 20 years of struggling alone to raise Sarah, the shock of Rick's secret, the horror of Sarah's ruined wedding, the fight to uncover the truth. But I don't regret any of it. Every hardship led me here, to this clinic, to this community, to this family. Sarah's happy. Rick's found redemption. Morrison found the truth and peace. And me? I found something I never had before. A partner, a purpose, a place where I belong. Sometimes Sarah visits with her husband. Soon she'll bring the baby. She tells me, Mom, when my child is old enough to understand, I'm going to tell them about you. About how their grandmother survived abuse, raised me alone, and never gave up. About how their grandfather made a terrible mistake but spent his whole life trying to make it right. I want them to know that truth matters. That family matters. Sarah, you don't have to. Yes, I do. Our family story isn't simple or pretty, but it's real, and it's ours. I hugged her tight. My daughter. My fierce, brilliant, compassionate daughter. To anyone out there going through hard times, and I know you're out there, please hear this. Don't give up. Truth has a way of coming out. Justice has a way of arriving, even if it takes 30 years. Happiness has a way of finding you, even after decades of pain. I'm 53 years old. I found real happiness just 3 years ago. It's never too late. Keep fighting. Keep believing, keep loving your people, and know that somewhere in Columbus, Ohio, there's a clinic where a woman named Maggie is making soup for her neighbors, holding her husband's hand, and smiling because life messy, complicated, painful life turned out okay in the end. Thank you for listening to my story.